Hey everyone, it's Bigfoot. Welcome back. Today's video is on trail etiquette. I'm going to be talking to you today about leave no trace, camp and shelter etiquette, hike your own hike. But first, I want to share with you the top 5 things that other hikers did while I was on the trail that really pissed me off. Alright, the first thing was say hello. When you're on the trail, everyone is socializing. You talk to every single person, mostly every single person that you pass by, and it's just a common courtesy to say hello. Typically you'll talk about some hiker things like how's the trail up ahead, where's the next shelter, things like that. But there are a lot of hikers that I did pass that did not smile, did not say hello, anything like that. Now there are some occasions where you wouldn't want to socialize with someone if like you didn't feel comfortable, but the big one for me was just saying hello or being friendly on the trail. The next one is the pace that I sustained while I was on the trail required me to pass many people most days. And there were many people, many hikers that I would catch up to, and they would start hiking faster and would not allow me to pass them. When you're out there and you have somebody that's coming from behind you, don't hike faster. It's probably going to be an uncomfortable pace for you, but let them pass. The next on my list is don't assume that your way is the only way possible to get things done. I met quite a few hikers that thought they were so experienced or felt like they were so experienced, and they may have been, but this kind of goes under hike your own hike. They were so strongly opinionated about their way opposed to being open to what other ways are. One of the things that I recall most vividly is the northbounders meeting the southbounders for the first time, and the difference of opinion, difference of thought that the northbounders had, because they thought they were a lot better than the southbounders. All right, the fourth is no graffiti. I ran into so many different landmarks and shelters and signs that had graffiti on it with hikers putting their name. One actually was Bigfoot. And I would say about the first 600 miles, there was someone by the name of Bigfoot, their trail name, that was graffitiing all over everything. And we actually called him Bigfoot the Bad. And I believe I heard that somewhere before he got to Harper's Ferry that he changed his name just because he had a really bad reputation. But don't write your name on all kinds of crap. No graffiti. All right, and my fifth, when you are descending and you have hikers that are ascending up to you, it is common courtesy to step off the trail and let them pass. They're working a lot harder than you going up. If they want to break, then they'll step off of the trail and let you pass. But if they're not doing that, it's just common courtesy for you to get off the trail and allow them to pass so they can keep their momentum. All right, now that we got my top 5 things out of the way, let's talk about leave no trace. So the first thing in leave no trace I want to talk about is waste. So there's a few things on waste in particular. Number one is anything that you pack in, you have to pack out. You can't be burning your trash or burying it or leaving. This one really actually hurt me. Maybe it should have been in my top 5 list, but if there's something that you have no use for anymore, don't leave it in the shelter for somebody else thinking that maybe that's just a nice thing to do, because no one else is probably going to want it. So don't leave it. In my last video, I talked about how you have to bury your own poop. This is part of leave no trace. There are dire consequences if you don't bury your feces, and you can get a lot of other people sick. So make sure that you're walking at least 200 feet from the trail or your camp or a water source, and bury your poop at least 6 to 8 inches deep in a 4 to 6 inch wide hole. All right, the next is respect wildlife. One of these things in respect wildlife also means don't feed the wildlife. There is a humongous problem on the trail with bears getting food and being acclimated to human food, and it ends up resulting into hikers getting hurt and injured, and many of the times they have to put the bear down. When you're hiking on the trail, stay on the trail. That means when you're going down, descending, don't cut switchbacks. You'll see this happening a lot where people want to try to take a shortcut, and instead of doing the switchback, they just basically descend right through each switchback, blazing their own trail. Don't do this. You always want to stay in the trail. That also includes if there are spots of the trail that are muddy and things like that. If you can't basically maneuver around those mud puddles with staying on the trail, then you're going to have to go through them. Now, when you're hiking the Appalachian Trail and you see these rock piles, they're called cairns, rock cairns, leave them alone. There's a reason why they have them there. They are there to help hikers lead them in the right direction, especially when you're above tree line, because there are going to be times that the visibility is so low that you basically have to have those cairns in order to be able to navigate where you are. So leave the cairns alone. Don't put any extra rocks on there. Just leave them be. And then the last, I mentioned this about waste, but it's really important that when you are, or if you are ever washing your hands, or if you brought some soap, whatever it might be, even if it's biodegradable, you can't be doing that in the water source. That's where we drink from, so it's really important that you do that 200 feet away. So nothing, no soap, no biodegradable, doesn't matter, shampoo, anything can go in the water source. All right, let's talk about shelter and camp etiquette. The shelters are a first come, first serve. When you get in there, you get to choose your spot, set up your stuff, whatever. However, when you do that, leave room for other hikers. It is very annoying to other hikers when they come in there and you have your stuff spread out all over the entire shelter and they feel like they don't even have a spot. The last thing they want to do is ask you to move your things just because it's just etiquette. So keep your stuff in your own space, leave room for other hikers. On the note of shelters, when someone needs to change, give them the privacy, especially females. So there are going to be times when they're going to have to do that when it's pouring out, everyone gets in, and then you get out of their wet clothes. Typically, hikers will go in the corner and try to do it non-discreetly, but just make sure you give them the privacy so they can do what they need to do and fast, so it's not uncomfortable to them or anybody else. When there are bear boxes at the shelters, campsites, make sure you use them. They're there for a reason. Eating. Don't eat in shelters. Shelters are infested with mice, and this will just give them extra incentive to share your sleeping bag that night. So when you are eating, eat outside the shelter, never eat inside the shelter. Hiker midnight. Hiker midnight is when the sun goes down. That is quiet hours, and the last thing that anybody wants is a bunch of noisy, rambunctious people that will not allow anybody else to sleep because they're laughing, they're drinking, they're having a really good time, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. Typically, once the sun goes down, everyone typically goes to bed. Now, if you are staying in a shelter, you really are at the mercy of when everyone else goes to bed, but be respectful, be quiet, don't be loud, and you should be in good shape. Music. When you're listening to music, listen to them on your headphones. Unless if you're in a group and everyone's cool with it, but especially when you're in a shelter, nobody wants to hear your music most of the time. So be respectful and use your headphones. Now when you are at camp in a shelter and you have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, make sure that you use your red light on your headlamp because the white light will blind everybody. It's really annoying. That's what the red light is for, so make sure you use it, especially when you're in a shelter. Now if you're hiking with dogs, first of all, the principle on waste applies to your dogs as well. Either you got to pack it out, which most of you probably won't do, or bury the dog waste. You don't want to leave it on the trail. It's not really fun when someone else steps in it. The other thing with dogs is make sure that you keep them in control. If they can't stay in control, you're going to have to keep them leashed. No one wants to have a dog jump up on them with muddy and dirty paws and wet and hump their leg. All right, and wrapping up is hike your own hike. Now that means a lot of things to a lot of people. To me, one of the things hike your own hike means, I mentioned, don't give any input on gear unless someone asks for your input or you're having a discussion, an open discussion on it. This happens all the time in the first 300 miles, and people think some hikers think they are just so smart and their way is the best way, and they probably are just trying to help out, but it does get really annoying when you just have a hiker that thinks they know everything and continues to want to preach about certain gear and how they could have been a lot lighter if they went with this piece of gear, or they're doing this right or they're doing this wrong with their gear. It's really annoying. And I mentioned this earlier about not assuming that everyone's way is going to be the same as your own. People are going to do things differently. That's what's really cool about being out there. Everyone has different styles and ways of getting things done, and just be respectful of that. You will be talking with others about their different styles and different ways. Don't go around preaching about how your way is the best, because it's probably not, at least not for other people. Anyways, hike your own hike means that each hiker is going to have their own unique way of hiking the trail. If they feel like flip-flopping, if they feel like only hiking 2 miles an hour, want to have a blowtorch to start a fire. I saw that last year. If they want to have a hatchet to chop wood, whatever it might be, everyone has their own different ways, and you should just be respectful of that. Alright guys, well that wraps it up on trail etiquette. There's probably something I missed, and if there was, please comment below so all of us can learn. It's really, really helpful. Thanks. Stay tuned for our next sighting, and remember guys, always follow Bigfoot.